What's up, everybody? I had this nice intro all planned, and then I forgot to hit record. So, it was like with me and my new co-host, and then, I wasn't able to do it because I forgot to hit record. So I have to go and do this all on my own again. And it feels weird doing it on my own. But as you can see, after 195 episodes, we still make mistakes. So with that said, let's drop that intro.
Nitro is the glory, but e-buggy pays the bills. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast. Get ready for some serious bench racing. But be warned, we speak our minds, express our thoughts, and sometimes things can get a little rowdy.
Hate, and he just was influenced by the hate coming from the left, the hate coming from the right.
And let's get back to more club racing and less of this money-grabbing book racing.
It's hard not to be arrogant when you're always right. You know?
See what I mean? That's exactly why people call you arrogant, Max.
You may not agree with everything we say, but it's definitely worth a listen.
And our pick, can you stop whatever you're doing?
Join your host, Letty the Great, with co-hosts and guests as they get together to chat RC.
Hey, after that race that I watched this morning, I have to talk about it.
Here we go. $100 right here, $100 throw. Oh no! I like this.
Yes, indeed, Nitro's the glory, but E-Buggy pays the bills. Well, not on this episode. This episode, it's all about 10 scale. That's right. Episode 195 is all about 10 scale, guys. Joining me, my co-host, Riley and Hefty Jesus, who you'll meet later on. And we're going to talk about the first ever ROAR OffRoad National Championships that were held up in the Pacific Northwest that Hefty went to. And of course, we're going to talk about the EFRA Electric Touring Car Championships that were held at Trenčín Hudi Arena there in Slovakia as well. We greatly appreciate you guys coming on. We're going to talk about 10 scale. We're back into full effect here. I'm back from Italy. I had a great time, fully recovered. I'm not planning on going anywhere anytime soon unless somebody's wants me to come to a race and I go or whatever. But it looks like I'm here till August and just kind of chilling. Might be doing some virtual work here later on with some things. We'll see how it goes, but no more trips for me for a while. I'm looking forward to watching a lot of racing, covering it, and talking about it. So we're back to normal schedule. Max, a little bit sick, a little bit taken over with work, so he's taking a little break. He will be back this week, but he wasn't going to talk about 10 scale anyways. But Riley and Hefty, thank you for your time. Thank you to all the NNRC squad around the world. We can't do it without you guys. I do need a big favor from you guys. Being as we got hacked, I got hacked. I lost my personal Facebook, my personal Instagram, as well as the No Name RC podcast Instagram, as well as my WhatsApp number. I lost that while in Italy. Got to get a new number as well. If you guys can go to our Instagram and follow that, please, it will greatly help me. We was almost at 2,000 followers when I lost it, and I've been using my Instagram quite a lot. So please go there, follow us, and give it a like. And if you could go to our YouTube too, we need to grow that. We definitely need to grow the YouTube. And follow me as a friend. If you see somebody, Keenan Keith White, it's not a hack. It's not fraud. It's me. I had to make a new profile. So thank you to all the NNRC squad around the world, especially the new friends that I made in Italy. Also, shout out to the patrons of the podcast. Without you guys' extra support, I can't do this without you. You will get early release of this podcast and get to listen to us ramble on about 10 skill and geek out on that early. So thank you. If you wish to become a patron, there's a link in the written description of this podcast. Also, big thank you to all the awesome sponsors and companies that support the podcast. Remember, everybody, showing the sponsors some love shows the podcast some love. And they are, if you love the book, you love the online course, Invisible Speed, TZO 200 tires. I heard that the website's up, so you can go order as well. High Tech RCD. I'm about to put my high tech servers in my boat and my Mayako here shortly. In fact, I'm charging up batteries for my boat now. TNR fuels. I need to get some TNR fuels for my cars. I'm going to be running some nitro here soon as well. Mayako, which I will be building that. Shout out to all the NPC guys. Love you like life. Beach Nation, Beach RC. Shout out to Brent at Beach RC and Lucas. I'm going to get Lucas on her very soon, actually, to talk about his adventures and just have a good chat about RC. Techno RC, shout out to the Techno RC team, Matt Walter, Daniel Lewis, and those guys doing good things over there. Thank you for the MT410, which I will be getting together soon. Got some batteries for it. Just need to get some wheels, tires, and a body for it. Lugs Racing Tires, for you guys got something new coming out. Can't wait to see. Got to get you on, talk about all of that. JQ Scale Motorsports, G-Spec RC Tuning for all your cabling needs. Papa Willie's Traction Tonic for all your traction needs. Some Pedal USA, our new sponsor. Happy to have them on board. They just sent me some batteries for the Techno. I'm going to do an unboxing of them. In fact, I got a couple of unboxes. Got a new radio, too, I'm going to unbox. Also, shout out to Racecraft USA. Clinic RC, I want to say happy birthday to Vicky. It was your birthday last week, Friday. I didn't get to say happy birthday. I hope you and Tony enjoyed your birthday weekend. Shout out to everyone at RCGP. Big shout out to you guys. You did a great job last week. Looking forward to the UK. Great decision to what you made. You worked out with the BRCA for the upcoming round in the UK. Shout out to David Ronafalk and everybody up there in the Nordics. Joseph, everybody enjoying that midsummer. JQ is going crazy up there. I think they spend like 3 days partying. It's like a Nordic thing. Longest weekend of the year or longest day of the year, all up there. So, yeah, shout out to them. Shout out to Jared Tebow, who helps support the podcast. Alex Harbrag, just all the supporters of the podcast. And remember, everybody, we have links and coupon codes and everything you can want for these sponsors. Just using that helps us out. You can save some money. You can help us make some money. Or even if you don't have an affiliate link or anything, just say, hey, I heard about them on a No Name RC podcast. Thank you for sponsoring them and show them some love. It greatly helps us out. We greatly appreciate that. All right, so before I introduce you to my co-host this week, I also had some shout-outs and say thank yous. I saw today that it was Spencer Klein's birthday. See, he was 16. Happy birthday to you, Spencer. You're eligible for a license. I don't know if you can drive, I guess, in Oklahoma. And like I said, happy birthday to Vicky as well. It's her birthday. I want to say shout-out to CTRC, man. I see they're back racing, again, club racing, and I saw that, like, yeah, dude, and that guy's a pony, and I'm out there having fun. I saw they were racing at Channel Islands this past weekend, too. It's great to see that track up and running. And, yeah, just big shout-outs to everybody that raced this weekend. There was a lot of racing going on. And, yeah, it's good to see. Good to see. Happy to see. So with all that said, I'm going to get on. We're going to go talk to our, bring on Hefty, bring on Riley, and we're going to talk all about the first ever ROAR Carpet Off-Road Nationals and, of course, the EFRA European Electric Touring Car Championships with Hefty and Riley. So we got down below my good buddy Riley, who we haven't got a nickname for him, but he's got good internet today. So I want to talk to him. I want to talk about 10 scale stuff. And then we got the new guy, vice host, Hefty Jesus, who is an avid racer. He's also was at the Carpet Nats this week, which is great. So we had a front row seat of everything that I went on, because I do think this was a very important race. But before we go on, I just want to, he's the team manager for Side Piece Racing. But he's going to tell us a little bit about himself, how he got into RC, and what he's doing right now, and how he ended up on this podcast, because he has one of his own as well.
Yeah, thanks Lefty for having me here. Excited to talk about everything RC. Love the hobby. Kind of maybe love it too much sometimes, if you know what I mean. We all get there, and but been racing since 92, going back to pan cars, 10 scale, 12 scale. Used to race loose dirt off-road. I don't think people remember that with two-wheel drive cars. Yeah, and where you had no traction and you had to use throttle control, like with silly brush motors. Anyway, but forget all that nonsense. Fast forwarding to reality, I got back into the hobby in 08. Mm-hmm. Someone who I used to know as a kid opened up a track. This guy's name's Donnie Leah, multiple time national champ and world's finalist. and he had a track in Long Island, New York, and it got me hooked back in, and I've been in ever since. And you just keep on getting in deeper and deeper and
Yeah,
deeper.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. So and been focusing on mostly 12 scale and 10 scale 4-wheel drive electric on-road racing. But been dabbling with the little 2-wheel drive buggy and 4-wheel drive buggy over the last few years now.
Mhm.
And folks who don't know side piece racing, that's it started off just doing some like option parts for like X-ray touring cars and top touring cars, and then kind of it blew up into other things. Where the people behind bringing Awesomatics into the States, and a bunch of other brands. So Awesomatics, Roche, Wild Turbofan, Montec, Sunpadao,
Yes.
Fenix, and one of the newest things is Will Speed,
Mhm.
which is this billet aluminum chassis conversion kit manufacturer out of the UK. And so I was just down at the Carpet Nats in Albany, Oregon. So
Mhm.
I'm an East Coast guy, and I recently just moved to the West Coast, but I'm like almost in Canada, up in Seattle, where it rains all the time. And although it's sunny today, but that hardly ever happens. And so this track that hosted the ROAR Carpet Nationals first ever, it's just a short 4-hour drive for me south.
That's not bad though.
It's not the worst thing in the world, realistically, but unfortunately in Seattle, there's not many permanent tracks. There's only one permanent track, which is Tacoma. It's indoor clay. That's not my favorite, so I don't really mess with that so much. I've tried to go a few times, but the day job keeps on getting in the way. But it is what it is.
That track looks really fun for how small it is.
Yeah, and actually, I don't think Tacoma's so small. It's a decent sized track and has good depth and has a really nice driver stand.
I think I'm just used to like an A-skill size track, being Hobbyplex local. So
yeah,
I know what big is. Yeah, so it's like a medium size, I guess. For like a 10 scale track, it's decent size.
That's the track run by Scott Brown. Used to be like top driver and all that stuff as well, or something. Yeah.
He's gone to the Worlds before, been in some finals. So,
hey, so real quick, the guy Will Speed, he actually makes some really badass trophies too. I saw he made some. I really want this guy to make something for me to put up here in the studio. His aluminum work is off the hook. I'm telling you. So I saw some trophies he had made for a race in the UK, and I'm gonna get him to make something and give it away.
They did some, I think, setup gauges as trophies, and they've done some other stuff. Yeah. So, they have a lot of skill behind them, and it's actually the guys that were in the engineering, and ultimately there was an intern at this company called 10th Technologies, and they made the X10 and X11 Predator. Those are the kind of the things I think people would know about.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the inboard shocks.
That was that car was way ahead of its time. That car, when I look at that car, and because I seen that car in when did that come out? 2008. It was
something like that.
Super long ago. I seen that when I was a little kid, and I'm like, holy crap! I'm looking at it I looked at it probably this year. I'm looking at it, and it's like the nicest car. It's still super smooth. All the weight's super low on the car. The shocks are laid down. It's super ahead of its time.
Yeah. And who knows? They might come together with something like that. They've been focusing on a 2-wheel drive and conversions for a variety of manufacturers. They have the kind of the big one, AE. They're working on a Losi. They don't have that yet. They have a Yokomo, they have an X-Ray, and they have a Schumacher. They also have some of the trucks that are out there for stadium truck, and they have an AE 4-wheel. And cool looking cars. Mine are totally filthy right now, and they're nowhere near me because just got back last night from the race. So anyway.
Yeah, I was shocked when you answered me so early this morning. And you have a podcast called RC Rats. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just briefly about that.
Yeah, we've been doing track rats for a few years now, on and off a little bit. I've had the luxury of having two co-hosts with me. First guy was Monty Panzica, and his name is The Mangler. And then another guy, his name's Phil Trotta. Monty is a renowned oval racer, multiple times Snowbird's Mod 10 scale oval winner. He also used to work at John's BSR. He was the guy mounting foam tires for people for a lot of years. So he knows all about foam tires. Okay. And Phil Trotta, this is another good guy out of New York. Known him for a while. One of the best guys to go buy a piece of used equipment off of, because Phil doesn't keep things for long. That's all I'll say.
Cool. So you can check out RC Track Rats. It's on most Apple, I guess.
We do it on YouTube and Facebook, and we have a live show. We'll have one tomorrow. We just got to schedule it, but yeah. So we'll be talking about some of the similar things again on Track Rats, along with some of The Mangler's current exploits down at his local racetrack in Florida.
Awesome news. Well, thank you for coming on. We greatly appreciate it. We also greatly appreciate Sampadal USA coming on, and we're looking forward to talk. I'm looking forward to talking to you about these two races. So we're gonna get right into it. So this week we're gonna be doing no RC news. The RC news is gonna be all about these two races, and it's brought to you by these three awesome companies. It's brought to you by High Tech RCD, TNR Fuels, and of course Sampadal USA. First off, I'd like to say thank you to High Tech RCD to TNR Fuels, because even though we're all about the glory at this podcast and the glory is nitro, this podcast is about 10 scale, but TNR Fuels is the hottest fuel on the market, owned and operated by Chris Nelson and his family, made by racers for racers. You can buy it throughout the USA. It's got it in a lot of hobby shops, but if you would like to get in contact with him, try out some of the fuel or get it in your local shop, hit him up at chris@tnrfuels.com, or go to the site at www.tnrfuels.com, and look him up on Facebook too. He'll contact you right away. He's a busy man, but check him out. And thank you to TNR Fuels for all their support. And I think we're just gonna go right into it, guys. First ever ROAR Carpet Nationals. I am not a big 10 scale guy, but I think that this is a very important race. I'm glad that it happened, because I think that carpet is the future. I think it's how we get more people into racing. I learned this when I went to England, and I was over there and saw how they would make a track in a night, and you can just do it anywhere. I know there's a lot of dirt purists out there, but I'm sorry. This is the future, and to have a nationals for this is big, because that shows that the industry, America's finally seeing what Europe's seeing all this time. This is the future. This is what's been in the UK. 10 scale is huge because of this.
To understand that it's a totally different skill too. Like you can't just practice on a dirt track, go to a carpet track and dominate. Like you have to actually put in work on carpet to go fast on carpet.
Your thoughts on that, Hefty? I know this is a big deal for you. You was there. You like home track for you. How did you feel?
Yeah, well, it's always interesting. Like I was talking to some of the folks who'd never been to the facility before, and carpet setups seem to kind of translate decently. There's one guy who did really well this past weekend, Jeff Stack. He's a stock TLR driver, and him and his buddy Scott came out to basically win 2 national championships, and he got half the job done. He got one. Okay. And for the most part, he said he dampened up his wheeler, and then they were just mostly chasing gearing and like speedo settings and things like that, just to make sure they had the right amount of power, because for them this track was huge, and they normally don't run on something that has like 120 foot straightaway. So it was trying to figure out how to keep the temps down, but yet have the power of all their other competitors.
Interesting stuff. We're going to put up some video of the track while we talk about this. This does not belong to me, by the way. This is live RC's footage. I always like to say that before we go in and go into deep. Well, I think we should know. We won't be able to see it like that. We'll put it on the side with it like that. Tell us a little bit about this facility. Why is this so slow? Is this me? Let's see. You guys talk about it while I figure this out over here.
This track is operated by a gentleman. His name's Casey, and you'll see him on the stand there. He's on the left videoing, and he's had a hobby store for I think 10 plus years now in roughly the same area in Oregon, and they this is in a mall, so a shopping mall in the United States, and this used to be a Sears, and so it is a 96,000 square foot building. It's ridiculous.
Wow. It's huge.
And so he has not just RC there, like this is one of 8 tracks. It's by far the nicest and the biggest track. Like there's a crawler track and a funster track, with some jumps and whatever else there. And, an on-road track, an oval track, this, that, whatever else track, a mini off-road track. And, but he also has other businesses that he runs out of there. He has like a side-by-side, like the Can-Am side-by-side. So he sells those and they do repairs on those and they race those too out in the desert. So this guy, he's all about racing, and it's pretty cool to find someone who makes, a living just racing. That's not something you normally see.
Yeah, that's very hard. But he supplemented. It's kind of like LCRC too. LCRC is another great facility. But you're from up that area. I don't know if you ever been there, but they supplement that by actually having they have
motorcycles, right?
Yeah, he's
and
a
quads.
motorcycle shop and quads and all that stuff. So he supplements it. I don't know what's going on with my internet, but I'm not able to play that video. I'm gonna keep trying. But so I think the guy you was talking about was Jake Stackowicz. I think it's from Ohio.
Pennsylvania.
Okay, from Pennsylvania. Yeah, I have talked to him before. I seen he's been doing very well in stock as well. I will have some questions about stock. Riley, give us your opinion on the track as well. You watch this. This is, you love this type of stuff. What did you think of it?
Yeah. It looks like a fun layout. I don't know. I didn't drive on it, but for the most part, it produced good racing. It wasn't too crazy. Like there was a double in the middle that produced a lot of mistakes, and that was like the passing zone. But other than that, the track was pretty cool. There's definitely fast lines to take. Like there was a couple sweeping corners on the right side of the track, and after that double actually. And it looked like you could absolutely nail a line or you could hit a pipe and it would be ruined.
Yep. And lots of races were ruined.
Really?
Yeah. That was the spot.
What was the turnout for this race? Let's see. I believe it was pretty low, but I mean, so it was 82 drivers, 153 entries. But
that's common for a national event.
Okay.
Because, you have to be a ROAR member, you have to follow ROAR rules. Like the biggest thing that I expected most people to have problems with, they have a voltage rule where you have to show up at 840, and if you're over, you sit down. You don't get to run. And that it's a tough rule. And it's especially tough for like new people. But like in particular, like off-road racers, they're showing up with their packs at like 844, 849 at most places. They don't care. And they're just doing, a bunch of silliness. And so I thought that would be a hard thing for people. What I also thought was interesting was just like the turnout from a lot of the locals, unfortunately was down. And, there been that J Concept race, same track a month ago, and the turnout was a bit larger there, but, it was one less day or even 2 less days, depending upon how you look at it. It was cheaper and just, less tech, less of everything. And so, it is what it is. Like, people who want to compete at this level, they normally take it pretty serious. And so, like, I'm I'm going to call myself an up and coming off-road driver. And
B-man extraordinaire.
Yeah, something like that. But it's all right because the first off-road race I went to, I was in the D and the C. That's what I qualified into, and I raced my way up. So, the reality is, it's really about getting used to the environment and getting used to like the setup elements and what you need to do, like how much tires matter or don't matter. And, and tires matter. And so, fresh tires, it's all about fresh tires. And, I brought back some of my tire sidewall gluing tricks from on-road in four-wheel, but the reality is it's consistency, hitting your lines, and not failing. That's really what it's about.
Yeah, well, I think we're watching A2 of four-wheel drive her. Wow, this track is fast too. They're flying.
Yeah.
So a lot of the locals didn't show up because of tech. I mean, but that happens a lot too. Whenever there's ROAR, and I mean, even in the nitro side, I've seen many people come in and they're like, "What do you mean I got to tech my tank, or my car has to be this much?" Or, so it throws a lot of people off. Then put on spec tires and whatnot and all that good stuff. So yeah, I get that. Unfortunate, but I think this will only grow because I mean, the beautiful thing about this is that you can hold these anywhere. Like ROAR could have this in Vegas next year if they want,
Yep.
And that would be the beautiful thing about it. All right, let's talk about some of the dom. All right, so let's just come up. I've said this on the podcast. I'm gonna say it again. Dakota Fan right now is the best all-around off-road driver in RC. He's winning in 8-scale racing. He's pretty much untouchable in two-wheel drive. It seems like even on carpet or dirt. Again, TLR dominant her. Let's see what did they end up with her. So it was
4 titles.
Yeah, Fen came first. Cav came third in two-wheel drive. Triple main results. I mean, what can we say? TLR and Fen are killing it right now in that section.
It's just amazing. Yeah, Fenda is amazing. I agree with you now. Yeah, after this race.
Oh, now you agree?
I have to. Yeah, I have to. It's insane.
I think the interesting part though is like Fend he gave up a win in four-wheel and he gave it up in qualifying.
Yeah.
So in Q1 he fended himself. See, I've been listening to the podcast. I know what your verbs are. All right. So he fended himself onto the straightaway. He fended himself. And so that was bad for him. And then I think in the second one, he might have just tapped out while he was in the lead, again. And he was, it was so rough. He was in the B sort the next day and he just had to put runs in, like clean runs. So he would be somewhere like to try to do something.
Really?
Yeah. Didn't he end up like 6th?
He was starting third on the grid. So
he started third. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So at the end of qualifying, he did all right. Cav was in front of him. And Cav had tremendously consistent runs. He had 1 TQ. I think it was either in two-wheel or wheeler, but he took round 1 TQ. And
right?
it might have been. I don't remember which one.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I forget. Sorry. Yep.
And just the reality is like those guys were delivering, and the only other guy who was really on that level was Brock. And Brock was putting it in four-wheel, putting it in two-wheel, in qualifying. The other person who kind of peaked up as compared to the JCon race was Ty Tessman in four-wheel. Tessman took the practice TQ, and there was a lot of talk about that new diff they have in the center of the car. Riley, maybe you can talk about what that is. I don't really know much about it, but all the AE guys were sweating it, and they wanted to find a way to put that thing in their car.
In four-wheel?
In four-wheel.
Really?
Interesting. Now,
the only diff thing I know about X-Ray was their active diff for two-wheel, but I don't even know anything about that.
Yeah, they got something in four-wheel, and it allows them to sort of change the behavior under acceleration and braking. Literally,
maybe
I'm not at
it's
that
like
level
the
yet.
active. Maybe it's like the active diff for two wheel, but just a center diff. So like maybe they have like a slippage inside to where it creates slip.
Yeah,
like a slipper.
it's just like the old LOL.We clicker.
Okay.
Same functionality, but in a shaft drive car. And I at the end of the race, I asked Cav and Fen straight up, because I was talking with them and Thomas Tran about some other stuff, like about springs, and they were just running their normal stuff, nothing fancy in the middle of the car. But there's probably some other guys that were on the track that had that diff or something very close to that diff in their cars.
Oh, really?
We're not going to out them, but
Hey, what about the GOAT, man? I'm telling you, he's on the way back up. Everybody, even I'm sorry, I'll never doubt you again, GOAT. But I think after the pep talk on the podcast the other day, he's kind of,
I think so too.
Yeah,
I think so too.
I think so. He goes to Silver State, wins Truggy, TQs does well, kind of blows out. Now but in carpet and 10 scale, he hasn't. I don't think he's out of all these guys now that he was racing with. He's still like, I put Cav as, if you had a carpet world right now, he could win that. I think he could he'll be in the top 3. I don't know if he could win it, but compared to like Mayfield and Testman, Maltiba isn't doing the 10 scale no more. But Cav is kind of figured out the carpet thing, I would say her. And just 10 scale, the TLR 10 scale period.
I think it's the TLR teams figured it out, and they stepped it up this race. And the reality is, like, they're just doing all the right things right now. The drivers, hell, they had a totally different sort of situation. Like, they might have struggled a little bit in maybe qualifying, but they delivered in racing. The drivers ran really well. In racing too, like, Mayfield, he'd come from nowhere to be knocking on a podium. And so, like, he would just drive up through the field, watching people blow out, doing whatever, making moves on people. It was impressive to watch him. If you weren't looking at the pointy end, you scan the rest of the field, he was really making things happen.
Do we think we're going to see Mayfield doing 10 scale next year? And if so, for Yokomo? Yeah.
Yes, and then no.
Okay.
I'd agree with that last statement.
I actually would make an even bolder statement, but I won't. But I just have a feeling about
what, Associated.
I have a feeling that it's contract year this year, and I think I've been hearing rumors about certain things, so I don't want to start yet, but I just, let's just say I wouldn't be surprised if certain big guys move at the end of this year. So
no, I'm not shocked at all. I already know.
So all right,
I don't know who or where, but I know he's leaving.
And we're going to talk about Brock, but I was hoping that I kind of made a post about this. I was trying to get some hype going for this. I was trying to ramp up the Brock and Spencer beef, but nothing happened. And
nothing happened because where was Spencer?
Yep, behind Brock the entire time. What is going on? He is supposed to be like the flagship guy for AE. He has to be winning these races or podium these races. And let's be honest, he's definitely in a rivalry with Brock for sure. Like they dislike each other. And I don't care what anybody says. Him and Fenn have a little thing going on too.
Maybe their new car is just not as good as they thought.
And Riley, you said it, not me. So when AE decides to send out I said maybe. One of the letters, they can send it to you. What? Give me your thoughts on that. Give me your thoughts, Hefty, because you was there. And Riley, you can answer after that as well.
I think a lot of manufacturers, when they drop a new car, they can struggle. The more things you change, the more you either have an advantage or you don't. And when you change a shock platform, that's big. Like, dude, the competition are running your springs, the V2 springs. And, I actually think they're looking other places for springs now, but because they think you're going to discontinue. But, the reality is it's always great when a manufacturer releases a new car and then forces all their drivers to run it.
Hmm.
but sometimes it doesn't have the outcome you want.
Yeah, I would say that they have to figure it out.
I don't know. I think when you release a car, you just have to have it in a working range that's like insane. Like each car should have a bigger working range instead of a smaller working range. And I feel like each car I see get released has a smaller working range. It's harder to get a setup on it that is perfect for that condition.
But it depends. Like TLR, they released a new car, what, in 2019?
Dude, their car is the oldest car out of any car.
Yeah. And that's
but they
fine.
have some parts
they figured
on
it
there,
out.
I think. They did figure it out.
And the flip side is, AE is copying X-Ray right now with their release schedule. They're popping one every year. Drive sales. It's not a bad move.
Mm-mm.
That's what has to happen. They have to sell cars.
Yep.
So let's talk about Brock. So this is his specialty. If this is the future, this is where he has to shine. Like he has to, in my opinion, like Brock has to do well at these races. If he doesn't, then he's not doing it. Like, yes, he can compete in car, he can compete in dirt, and he can do, and believe it or not, he can compete in 8 scale too when the track is right and all that stuff. But this is what he does. And he seemed to kind of get his head cleared. And I mean, he gets a 4-wheel drive championship. And I mean, you was there. Maybe could he had something for Fenn? Could he have beaten Fenn in 2-wheel drive?
It was close. Like he picked up the pieces when Fenn dropped them.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what happened. So it was Fenn's to lose, and it was either going to be Brock or Cav. That's really what it came down to. And the challenge, though, like, and I don't know if everyone gets this, is there's like a strong AE team.
Mm-hmm.
There's a strong TLR team. There's not a Schumacher team.
Got you.
There's 2
or
guys.
Yokomo.
Yeah.
Or X-Ray.
What's a
X-Ray's
Yokomo?
bigger
There's
than
one
both.
of them.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But if you think about just the numbers here, and like I might be wrong by a few people, there's basically 2 Schumachers. There was 1 Yokomo.
No, I think there's 2 Yokomos. Didn't 40 plus the TQ?
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
So two.
But it doesn't. When there's 2, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All right. And
you're by yourself.
There was like 4 X-rays. All right. And when you're off on an island, it's hard because you're doing all the work yourself, and you don't have a lot of people to lean into. And Blake is usually in mains. He wasn't in mains. He was in the Bs. So the competition level was definitely high in the mod class. So whoever made the main is really, they're making things happen.
Right.
And so
right.
even if they didn't win, they're still they're putting people who are usually in the main out of the main. Got you.
Speaking of which, Dustin Evans, like 50 years old, still making mains. Like I always say, like this guy just always stays in RC, but he's always making these mains. And I guess it's difficult because when you look at this is my next question. I look at Born of Crime, Matty G. He didn't make the main. David Bada didn't make the main. These are young, fast, up and coming stock guys that we're expecting. I'm expecting big things out of them, and probably I know carpet isn't probably their thing. Apparently, it does. Are we gonna see now? Does it take? Like, should Matty G, should Davey Bada be worried that they're not in the A mains here, or do they just refocus and worry about the dirt race coming up?
Matty's disappointed for sure. I'm sure they're disappointed, but
but I think the time to grow a stock racer into a mod racer, it sort of depends on the disciplines, like, and it also depends on the person. So in the last, like in an on-road space, there's been 2 people I know really well that have transitioned from stock racer to mod racer. All right. The first guy was Donnie Leah. And so Donnie in 2008, he won every stock race in 12 scale. And, fast forward a few years to 2014, he qualified 3rd at the Worlds in Florida. And, he's won a bunch of snowbirds, like mod races and ROAR National Championships and mod and whatever else. But that's like calendar wise, that's like 5 years.
Okay.
All right. The other angle is there's a great guy, Sam Isaacs. He's now our 6-time ROAR Mod Touring Car National Champion. And before we started working with Sam, he didn't really run mod ever. We'd known Sam for a long time, just a kid out of Maryland, club racing with us, things like that. And he left, went to college, came back like a whole new man, and was, racing stock and super stock touring with us. And somehow or another, like, Sam turned himself, because it wasn't us, it was just a little encouragement. He turned himself into a mod national champion in 9 months. But there was kind of a vacuum at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we had the 2 people he was really racing was Paul Lemieux and Kevin Hebert. And there wasn't 15 guys he was racing.
Right. I get you.
So, it's a little different. And, so if you have Kevin and Paul beating each other down, it allowed Sam to grab that first one in 2017. And, kind of, he just ran with it ever since. So these guys, like, they are all very skilled, that. And, if they decided to step down and run stock, they would probably crush everyone. And, maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't, maybe they need a new battery and a new motor, because, like, whatever they had last year in their cars are old and dead. But, they'd probably do great. So I just think they got to get used to whatever that new thing is to make them fast in mod.
What do you think, Riley? You're younger. You friends with these guys. What about Tom? What if Tom would have been there? Where would have Tom been? Because Tom is flying too. He can get it done in stock. He can get it done in mod. He can, and he's young.
Man, if he raced stock, he would have taken stock. Okay. I don't think there was anything crazy happening in stock this weekend. Like, the people that are normally there, like, dug it in a TQ. Okay, I get it. But in mod, that's crazy. I don't know. He'd probably be like 7th or 8th qualifying wise, and I think he'd finish about there. But
how long are Cav and Mayfield and Tessman going to be significant?
Tessman's young. He's
29. Ben's still young too. Yeah,
they're not going anywhere. Those guys.
Where was Barry Schimmel at this race? Because this is the only other really fast stock guy. Why wasn't he there?
I don't know if he had the cashola to come out.
Could be. I thought this would have been like definitely on the menu, being as they have a carpet track and all that stuff. Let's show something.
He didn't go to the warm up. I don't think either.
No, I didn't.
Really? Money, man. Budgets. Prices for tickets are expensive right now.
Yeah, it's real. And so, like, one of his locals at a coastal is another driver I have a lot of experience with. His name's Clayton Young, and he's an on-road guy, but he just moved to Virginia Beach area, so that's his new local track. And quick plug, Clayton Young, he's going to be running for ROAR President.
I know that. I'm going to have him on her. All right. I've talked to him already.
So Clayton was doing a little bit of promoting for himself. This was his first ever big carpet or big off-road race of anything like that. He's gone to somewhere, and he did really well. He made some B mains in the stock classes, and it's always fun to see like people like starting to realize things and things clicking. So he was sitting next to me all weekend, and we were just heckling the hell out of him and trying to help him go faster. So
yeah, and you know what, I have to give kudos to ROAR. I give kudos to ROAR for doing this. Like I said, I think this is the future. I think we're just going to see less and less clay tracks. I know Riley doesn't like the sound of that. I can see it in his eyes. I mean, think places like the Plex will stay around, but I mean, if you're seeing places like OCRC, I mean, but that's OCRC was in a different type of area, expensive. There will always be clay tracks, but I just see this as just the gateway. This is the gateway drug for people. It's got traction. You ain't got to worry about sanding on tires. You can get away with putting, a fast motor in your car and still going fast and having fun.
You look up a setup.
Yeah, it's just easier for people, and then they graduate to other things. But congratulations to ROAR for having the first Carpet Nationals. Congratulations to Dakota Fenn for now he must have 50 Nationals titles. He's not even 26 yet. Also to Brock, because he now stays relevant, and this is what he needs is if he's going to be a professional. Well, he is a professional RC car driver. And Schumacher's probably going to kick ass this week, because as we're recording this, it's the Euros have started, the practice Euros, which is a week long, which I'll be watching, which should be great. And whatnot. But and I have to give some shout outs to the guy Jake Stakowitz. It's good to see these stock guys going out there and winning it. It was another guy who done really well.
Sam and Moran.
Right. That's why one name I want to bring up. So tell us a little bit about him.
I don't know, Riley, do you know Sammy well?
I don't know him too well, but I'm pretty sure he did some on-road back then, not too long ago. But he's really fast in stock. He's been fast in stock for the last, I don't know, I feel like I've seen his name for the last 4 years, 5 years, but for sure the last 3 years, up top 5, just doing really, really well at all these dirt races also. I think he's a better dirt racer. I think he's won some of the national races that have gone, not nationals, ROAR Nationals, but a series race.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know too much about him. I'm pretty sure he's fast on road. I thought you would have known about him.
I don't know him as an on-road racer, honestly. So I did hear something. The announcer, Double D, a lot of people know Dave Duncan. He had mentioned that Sammy was an on-road racer while race calling him. And but yeah, I don't know. I've only met Sammy this year.
I've never met him.
And but I'm kind of I think he's a special driver. I've seen a lot of him, and I think he could really make some moves. But the reality is, he's mostly a dirt racer. Nothing wrong with that. It's great. He does amazingly well on carpet. He's won a bunch of races this year already, and it was good for him to get this national win in two-wheel drive, and it was really, he got put into this position by his own skill, but also by a little something I like to call AE on AE crime. And so in the arena I play in, it's usually X-ray on X-ray crime, but in this one it was AE on AE crime, and it's real tight. The top 4 or 5 guys at the head of the two-wheel drive and the Wheeler stock mains, they were all right there. The best races, if you go to watch on Rewind, were these Wheeler 13.5 races. It was basically 4 to 5 minutes of 4 guys all in the same corner. And, if you bobbled, you fell to the back of that little train. And then there was a few guys who could cut back up. And, Sammy was making passes and Jeff Stack was making passes. And kind of the other guys were qualified in front and they didn't stay there. And then every once in a while they tap out, they'd get back in into traffic, and they take out their own teammate. And you can't win national championships as a team like that. No. So
hey, we have to give a quick shout out that we're gonna go into the Euros. Aaron Kaufman making small waves in 8 scale, 10 scale, doing a lot of 10 scale lately. TLR driver from the Northeast. Great family. They seem to be making a lot of mains here. I seem to focus a little bit on more on 10 scale this year. So I just wanted to give them a good shout out. And somebody keeps telling me about this. Is it you, Hefty, that keeps telling me about this guy, Brandon Foote? Or is it you? Yeah.
In guy? Mod, yeah. But in mod, he just squeaked in the main.
Mm-hmm.
At the JCon race, I think he qualified 4th. And at this one, he only qualified 10th in two-wheel. Mm-hmm. But that kid's legit. And he puts in the time. Him and his dad do it. So it's a good father-son thing. And then there's these kids I never seen before. Apparently they're out of San Diego. Levi and Chase Raymond.
Oh yeah, those are the shout-outs I wanted to say.
God,
really?
Wow, they're insane.
These little kids, like little kids. They're maybe 12, 11. I don't know how old they are, but they're standing on big boxes to get, up over the rail.
No
and
way.
yeah, and dude, they were laying it down. In A2 of two wheel, Levi led after a bunch of people blew out.
He started sixth in that race.
Yep, he led until the last lap, and then
Got taken out.
crime.
A crime.
He got taken out by an impatient driver.
Good, man. Well, you know what, man? It sounds like it was fun. I'm glad you sound like you had a great time. You were sending me a message. Riley was freaking out too. He's like, we need to open up a Google now. Google documents for this.
I raced Saturday. That's why I don't have any notes in there. But like if I was watching the race, I would have put a lot of stuff in there. I last minute went racing on Friday night and then went racing Saturday, and I wasn't expecting to race. So
yeah.
It's like, all right, I'm gonna sit down and enjoy some nationals, and then I got my stuff, all my parts and stuff ready, so I went to go race. And
sweet. Yeah. Well, it's cool. I enjoyed watching the mains this morning while I caught up with this, and then of course, caught up on all the drama of what we're about to get into soon. Excuse me. But there was another big race going on this weekend. Before we go on to that, I'd like to shout out and say thank you to Sampadal Battery, Sampadal USA. Yeah, as you guys have seen, they've become a sponsor of the podcast. They also sponsor world champions, including Bruno Coelho, Alex Hagberg, and Ryan Cavallari. Look, product placement at its best. I actually have mine here, but I'm going to do an unboxing, so I haven't opened them yet. For everyone that doesn't know who Sampadal is, it's a private label brand from one of the largest RC LiPo producers in China. The cells in your current packs have probably been made by Sampadal themselves. Sampadal has 4S, 2S, 1S batteries for all your off-road and on-road needs. And the place to buy Sampadal batteries is not on Amazon, but it is. Let's give them shop.sampadalusa.com. I think I got that right. I got
Perfect.
That right?
Yep. No one needs to give Jeff Bezos more money. Forget that guy.
And you know, Sampadal had a good weekend this weekend because they had two people on the podium. Cav done well as well at the Nationals, but also this weekend, and excellent coverage by who I was with last weekend in Italy, RC Racing TV. They have a very busy schedule ahead of them, so it was right off to Trenčín, Slovakia, to Hudi Arena, who I think is one of the best places in the world. Unfortunately, every time a race goes there, it seems to have some sort of drama with it. And look, I'm just going to be honest. So this is X-Ray headquarters. We had the European Championships, their touring car, Formula One, stock, and they had
front wheel.
Was the front wheel European, or was it just an exhibition class?
I couldn't tell you, but I knew because I was watching some of the coverage when I was driving back and forth to the hotel and whatever else. And, if you talk about small turnouts, the European Championship scares everyone away. They had 11 heats. That's
it wasn't that many. Outdoor on so do they have a separate, I assume they have a separate carpet national Euros as well?
I honestly couldn't tell. I actually think their Euros is only asphalt.
Really?
It's only asphalt, because when you talk with the Germans that I know kind of well, they want to win two things. They want to win a world championship and they want to win the Euros in touring car. Okay. They're happy to win ETS races and whatever else. They'd be ecstatic to, but the two that they value the most is a Worlds and a European Championship.
Okay, so we got full. So it's funny. So we got full coverage of this race with less entrants, but we got zero coverage of the e-buggy race. And I talked to RC Racing TV about that. They're like, yeah, well, EFRA has its budget, and we have to fit it into budget. But X-Ray wanted it anyway. I'm not getting involved in all of that. We got coverage of this race. It was outdoors.
There's a lot of X-Ray winners.
That's for sure. There's a lot of X-Ray winners. I mean, Bruno Coelho came first in mod.
Profile pic.
Bruno Coelho came first in mod, and Alex, I think, came second, or was it Mark?
Mark got second. Hagberg got third.
Okay,
but as far as I'm concerned, Hagberg did amazingly well. You know, when you talk about like people needing performances, that was a great performance for Alex in touring car.
He did not look, and even when you saw his interview, you could see he was just like, okay, yeah, something went in my car. I need to go fix it. I need to go get a result. I just need to figure it out. And he needs, because I even though he's still very good and very good at I think Alex's talent is now graduated into what he can bring to the hobby for, you know, what he does with his social media and videos and what he does at races and stuff like that.
I wouldn't sell the guy that short.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Okay, so I'm sorry, Alex.
It's the disciplines. Like Alex, you know, it must be hard to have Bruno as a teammate.
Right.
All right. Like, and like, I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone. It would be hard to have Fend as a teammate, wouldn't it?
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean the other guy. Well, you know, but like the reality is, I don't think Cav cares. You know, because he's like, I've already been there. I've done it. You know,
Cav needs a team.
Yeah.
Like a good team.
Yeah, I think he's gonna. That's why he's coming around now.
Yeah, like
we're talking about Euros.
He never got help.
Yeah,
but he did get far. He did get far in S-Works. He started to win in S-Works at the end of the year after the end of his
I think he did better in Yokomo because he got like podiums with carpet. But all right, Euros.
Yeah. Anyway, but I think Hagberg did great, and you know, like if you don't look at the drama that was around this race, and you just look at kind of what happened, I think this is a great result for Hagberg.
All right, because I kind of had him, and I'm sorry, Alex, my fellow Star Wars fan. You know, I kind of, when I know he's been with X-Ray for so long. He was the superstar. He was the Bruno Coelho at some point. And now, like, let's be honest, like, Coelho is number one at X-Ray. Like, it ain't Tasman. I'm going to be honest with you. It ain't Tasman. He's like, even though nobody would say that, but Coelho is the guy. He's the guy for X-Ray. And then there is a hierarchy. So I know that Alex also has to do well, but Alex travels a lot and he does a lot of these races, and he's been like, I think since when I was talking to him, like at the end of the year, it's like, oh man, my travel schedule for the next 6 months is crazy. So it's everywhere, you know, and he has a family and all that type of stuff. So yes, great result for him. I think him having the least drama because, you know, like he just kept it cool. I mean, he blew off like when I saw him blow off the track in A2, it's like, what the hell? Like he was just going like around on normal corner. And then of course, after A2, that's when all the interviews started and all that stuff. So basically from what I gather is that the big drama was tires were exploding.
Yeah. Yeah. So it looked like, and there's memes all over the place, but the explosion of tires, and that, you know, when you're in a mod car doing at least 60, when your tire explodes, the likelihood that everything in that car should just be thrown out is very high. And that's, you know, a real problem.
Yeah, and the likelihood of your car being okay after that is not very high.
No. And so like the last like big international race that I went to for touring car was the 2014 Worlds and Pre-Worlds in Kissimmee. And at the Pre-Worlds, they were running hot race tires, and there were blowouts down the straightaway. And at that event, like kind of two things happened for the Worlds. Number one, they didn't run the full straightaway anymore. And number two, they did something to fix the construction of the tire.
At the race, you mean?
At the next event, yes. So
okay.
Like the first race was in, I want to say, April of 2014, and then the Worlds event was it was either September or October. The only thing I remember was the very next weekend was IIC in Las Vegas. So I went from running in Florida to going to Las Vegas. And so that was a back-to-back weekend, which is rough. And I wanted to do the 12 scale Worlds, which is the kind of like the days leading up prior, but it would just be way too much strung together. And but yeah, tires blowing out, it's not a new thing,
Okay.
Tires have been blowing up for years. It's more of the what do you do about it when the tires blow up? You can make
I get
a
you.
track change and make it go slower, or you can fix the tire or buy another tire and use that tire instead.
So, all right. So who made these tires? These obviously this is the start of A2 from.
It was Hootie Arena with Hootie tires.
Okay, so this is the start of A2, which Bruno wrapped up his championship. Something about Bruno said something. Maybe Mark Reinhardt had some issues with wind. I was trying to find that interview. I couldn't find it. Did anybody hear that at all?
I heard that in the interview.
Yeah, I mean, I really hate this because it's like every time a race goes to this beautiful facility, it's some sort of drama attached to it. But this is gonna start her soon. I did hit play. When I saw like how upset Reinhardt was, and I was like, wow, that's pretty savage. He was pretty savage in his comments, right? But when I saw Volker, he just he was just destroyed.
Man.
Like, you know what I mean?
Ronald
And I was
Volker
just like,
looked like he just lost a family member.
yeah, and I was like, I can feel his frustration oozing out of his skin, because he's just like, hey, I'm better than this. Like, I know I am, but I can't push this because of this. And like, that's when, so I'm mixed there. I'm sort of like, when I see those interviews, I see Coelho saying, well, we figured out how to do this, and we did this, and we did that, and then we done this. And it looks like we lost Riley. He probably died. If he comes back in, he comes back in, but he probably died. And I get mentality, but then I look at like Volker and I hear Reinhardt, and I'm just like, oh, okay, Riley's back. Are you back, Riley?
Yeah, my bad.
Okay. And then I heard Volker and the pain and the frustration that he knows, like I just can't do anything about this. So I just get it. Like I know it sounds weird, but I get both ends of this. I get both ends. Like, champions figure out how to win, right? When you're a champion, you want to win at all costs. And all four of those guys, the whole champions, they all want to win at all costs. But I mean, all right, come on. This is your world, Hefty. You know a lot more about this than me. This is weird.
The challenge here, I think comes down to, there being a known issue and it not being shared.
Mm-hmm.
And this, this is not, I wasn't there. All right. I'm reading many of the same things that you're reading. And, it sounds like there's really just kind of, I would say a cover up done,
it seems that way.
And, it's hard to use words like that, but the regular body, EFRA, needs to hold the actual host track accountable to the choices that were made, and they need to prevent stuff like this from happening in the future. So, because you have an odd scenario which doesn't happen much in RC, where the race, like the track provider, because it's the promoter is really EFRA. So the track provider is also via whether it's a subsidiary or whatever it is the seller of the tires, and they manufacturer of the tires. So
and a sister company to a chassis manufacturer.
Yeah, there's too many things that just smell fishy here.
Right. I get that. And it seems to always happen at the X-ray races.
I don't know about that. Like,
okay.
And this is where I think, people in their souls kind of feel it. They like maybe get angry about it. So I don't remember what the prior one was that was like this, but like
I could tell you. It was before the 2019 Worlds, when they accidentally left a lap counter on and somebody got 219 extra laps, and they said they were testing out the track, and that caused a big stink prior going into that. I want to shout out to my boy, the Extra Lap podcast out of England. That's why I heard it on. So I'll shout out to Aiden and those guys. And I can tell there's a genuine dislike. If if you're on X-ray, you love X-ray. If you're not on X-ray, you dislike them. Like it's not. It's like X-ray versus the rest of everybody. It seems like
it's kind of like Trinity versus everyone else.
Yeah,
like,
that's what
you've
it seems
seen those
like.
shirts, right?
Yeah.
So,
I don't know what to say about this, but to see champions getting frustrated like that, I just have to question. What? Okay, so what could have
something's wrong?
Yeah, something's up. Like what could have been done different to prevent this? They said, Bruno said I did this and I did that and I done all of that, but I mean, they would have known that going into this. Like they had to know this going into this. I'm sorry to say, like, but shouldn't the other people know this going into this as well? Did the others not have chance to test these tires as well?
Volker said that he was watching somebody and they were all out. So he thinks that it was just luck of the draw. Like,
that speaking of Volker, that's him right there, I think.
Yep.
That's Is this the first race or the second?
Second race.
This is 8.
So he just absolutely destroyed his car right there.
I mean, but don't these guys have access to these tires as well to test prior or
yeah, he did make tests and he said they were great tires. He said that he actually enjoyed them and he tried them on 2 different tracks, I think, and he enjoyed them. He thought they were great tires. He thought they were overpriced. Volker did.
So what did we do to prevent this in the future? Like you said, man, they cut down the straightaway and they fixed the tire for the prior. But okay, so we need to fix this at this time. Like it sucks that people have to turn on if that's what they have to turn it on. We want to see these guys go as fast as possible. What could have been done by EFRA or the organization or the race promoter to make this better?
The only
than
thing
having to worry about tires blowing off.
The only thing that was practical, because if you show up at the event and you have a box of tires and they're deemed bad, the only thing you could do is slow down the straightaway, and that means you're going to add a chicane somehow. All right, that would be your only option, realistically, because sourcing 500 sets of tires, although there's only like 20 people running the class,
right?
Because it's only mod that's having
that was
this
the problem with hot race tires.
So
they couldn't get enough tires, and so they just canceled.
And like the reality is, like, you don't need that many tires for mod, and what do you do? Like, and the weird part is, like, when I went to the Worlds in 2014, like, I didn't have, ideas of winning the Worlds, but like, you're basically forced to buy an allotment of tires. And so you're buying, usually you get to run the tires twice, but they changed it so that you had to run tires new every time. So that just means you're spending twice the amount of money on tires you don't want to run.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's an unfortunate place for like the hobby to really be in. And, clearly it's EFRA's fault for not stepping in.
All right. They have to do something. They have to slow things down. They can't have I guess for off-road, we don't think of totally demolishing a car. You know what I mean? Well, we're not doing 60, 70 miles an hour and gonna fly into something solid.
They're going pretty fast. And like, I'll tell you, at that Northwest race, guys were sending their cars into the sweeper at the ends of qualifiers, the end of practices, just out of frustration.
Right.
And like, there was a lot of savagery going on there. But the reality is, it's not like you're driving a Yokomo dogfighter that you look at a board and it breaks. Like, the things are pretty beefy. Yeah. So, the on-road cars, they're stronger than they've ever been. But, again, they can't handle a sudden impact at 60 miles an hour.
So, but hey, X-Ray wins though. They win the European Championships. That's what they want. I know. I mean, what else can we say? They won.
But, do they lose customers by doing this?
This is true.
Do people see through what happened?
Or is this the gray area?
I don't know. It's going to make some really good non-vice champion posts. I'll tell you that.
It did make that. It did make even one guy. It did make that. But I just think like I admire X-Ray's will to win Don't get me wrong, and to do it by their way. But it always seems that something that they do is, and they seem like a great company because the people that seem to get with them, stay with them. It just always seems to have something always like, look, like obviously after the buggy Euros and Nick's rant about vice champion and all that type of stuff. And then now, just to have this is always seems to be something mired with this one of their wins. And like people are just going to say, well, this is the year that Bruno won this because he just didn't blow his tires off because he knew how to do it better. I want to
say this. I have the utmost respect for X-Ray as a car manufacturer. Like, they have an incredible team. They have incredible parts. They understand their materials. They understand their geometry. They understand their team. They understand how to get around. But at the same time, they have so much stuff that they could improve on. It's more like behind the scenes, not even really to do with racing or any of that. It's just like more morality things, like where you just don't do things because it's not fair. Like try to be fair.
Right. Well, this is what I call the gray area. And there's lots of racers that operate in this gray area. And I'm going to tell you this. The Testmans are one of these racers that do this. We've said this, they've had run-ins with Mayfield. Like when I say gray area, it's like little things like putting your car out in front of Mayfield's car, right behind his car, while, little things like that to throw him off his game. And just, they do, like when the Testmans do everything to win, I think, you know what I mean? And when I say everything, they do the gray area stuff. It's not bad. It's not good. But it's just gray. That's the best thing I can say. I'm just saying that's just an example. There are other people that use the gray area. Look, but it just seems that way. And X-Ray they're such a great company. They can do all of this. They have such a great facility. I just think we need to and you have Bruno Coelho. Like this guy is one of the best drivers in the world. If
you had a bunch of B-mainers on your team, I won't say a bunch of names of companies that begin with S's. Like if it was run like to try to figure out how do you make a car that's inferior and maybe drivers that aren't the upper echelon win, those are the games you would play. But it feels like it shouldn't be the thing that, the top tier, best driver, and what
the
they believe is
luxury of RC,
the best car, but maybe it isn't the best car.
Maybe it isn't. I don't know. I think we're going to get a lot of X-Ray hate after this podcast.
Oh yeah. What car was Mark driving?
Automatic.
No. Yeah, Automatics for Mark, and then Mugen.
We had to give him the plug. Hey,
Mugen for Ryan or Volker.
Yeah. But I really fell for Volker. Like honestly, but you know what? So before we wrap this up, I'm not taking. Look, I'm still happy for Bruno. I'm still happy for Hagberg, their podiums, and I know Reinhardt wants a first, and I know Hagberg wants a first too. But I think I'm happy for them. The Viking is going to be racing against these guys in Italy after the 8-scale Worlds. He's going to do the 10-scale.
That's super interesting.
I'm really excited to see what he does against these guys. Wow, I was so shocked at the savagery and brutality and drama coming from the onward side of things this weekend. It came from exactly where I did not expect it this weekend. I was so pleasantly surprised.
I think most people thought it would be the Americans starting all the drama.
I was for sure that Brock and Spencer were going to have a all-out jiu-jitsu fight on the driver's stand. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and just to make sure, like Mark, I think Mark has 3 or 4 worlds titles.
I need to get him on the podcast. Talk to him. He has some good stuff. He's a good badass off-road driver too.
He can do, he's right up there with Masami.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he said fuck on like prime time live television. Streaming.
RC television. Yeah,
he did.
No one
he
fucking cares about that.
That is a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a big deal because we freaked out when Hampus said shit on the RCGP feed the other day. Yeah, it was good. If you guys want to check it out, RC Racing TV covered the entire event. They did a great job of it. And they have no breaks because they're right at Robin Hood right now filming. That's going to be a good Euros, I think, too. I enjoyed. So, true story. The last time they had a Euros here, JQ made the main in four-wheel drive. He drove a Schumacher. And that's Martin Walanka and X-Ray was also in drama for this same exact race back in 2015 because they weren't supposed to be saucing. Everybody was saucing. But Martin Walanka was openly saucing. And they he became a sacrificial lamb. Everybody in the team was saucing, but he's the one they gave up to the sauce police. So, but I think Schumacher's pretty much gonna do well at this race. I mean, you got Orlowski, then you got Lee and Neil and these fast guys too. So it's gonna be interesting to see who's gonna be.
Yeah, Euros is gonna be crazy.
Yeah, not too many 8-scale guys going there this year. You won't see Ronald Falcon, Garu, and those guys at this one.
They're all busy right now.
Yeah, they got the real Euros. No, the Nitro Euros coming up in 2 weeks' time.
The big boy Euros, right?
Yes, that's the whole another rivalry. Canast right now and Ongaro, they are not liking each other right now. They are definitely fully in love with each other. So we got lots of rivalries going on in RC, lots of storylines going in. We got lots of world championships coming up. It was a great weekend of racing. Thank you for sharing your experience at the Florida. I knew it. Jesus. At the first ever ROAR Carpet Nationals. I need to get Clayton Young on her as well. Off-road Nationals. Sorry, correct. Because carpet's the future, no matter what Riley thinks. Congratulations to Rock Champlin, four-wheel drive, and to Fend, who in my book is the best all-around off-road driver in the world at the moment. I hope you heard that, Barry Baker and TLR and Horizon. I said that 3 times on this podcast so far.
TLR made things happen this weekend. They could have swept everything.
Yeah, I refuse to continue to pick Fend, so I will expect my dividends, my salary for that PayPal from Horizon every month for not picking Fend. And he wins. Hefty, thank you for coming on. It's been a great having you on. It was a great addition. I think we got to do this some more, especially with I think you guys make a great 10 skill, you and Riley. Yeah,
I happy to do it if the schedules align, and we can probably improve your on-road coverage a little bit too in the upcoming year.
That would be good. I would like to learn more about it. What I'm all about in on-road is large scale, and that's what I want to do. Large scale on-road and the 8-scale stuff. I really think is interesting.
You need to spend a few weeks at Steel City in California.
It looks so beautiful there.
That's the place. Those guys love that there, and that's what they're all focused on. So if you ever get a chance, that would be your mecca then.
Right. Also, guys, check out Side Piece Racing. Check out all the other supplies and products that Hefty supplies, as well as don't forget the Sunpadal USA batteries that you can get from there. We'll be doing some giveaways of those again in another couple of shows. Thank you. I appreciate that. Riley, where are you to?
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear this.
Yeah, we can hear you now. We're going to get Tom for R1 on, you, me, and Tom at some point when he comes off vacation. So that's going to be good.
Yep.
Thank you for your time. I greatly appreciate it. Hefty, thank you for your time. I appreciate your time. Thank you to everybody that tuned into us. 10 skill nerd. Well, sorry, 2 10 skill nerds and 1 cool guy. I had to do it.
Wait, you're a 10 skill nerd now?
Actually, I admire. I like that you have. I'm starting to become a stock fan. The only reason I'm becoming a stock fan is not because of pink pinions and all that stuff, because there's a definite line between pro and Joe with stock. And that's what 8 scale lacks at this moment, I believe. So I that's why I like it. So
I don't think you'll find a closer race than those 13.5 races in Wheeler. So check them out if you didn't.
I will definitely do that. And congratulations to those guys as well. Jake Stakowitz, the guy Sammy Moran. I really want to know why Brendan Schimmel was there, because Brendan Schimmel's been fire in stock right now. Anyway, guys, thank you to all the people around the world that support the podcast. We can't do it without you guys. We greatly appreciate it. NNRC Squad. Shout out to the patrons of the podcast. We can't do it without you guys. If you wish to be a patron, you can. It's in the written description of this podcast. And of course, we can't do it with all the awesome companies that support us. They are Invisible Speed, TZO 200 Tires, High Tech RCD, TNR Fuels, Mayako, Beach RC, Techno RC, Lugs Racing Tires, JQSM, G-Spec RC Tuning, Sun Padal USA, Racecraft USA, Clinic RC, RCGP, House of RC. Check out the DR Race Shop, the JTPshop.com. Shout out to my boy RC Kevin, and just to everybody that supports us. Thank you, Hefty. Thank you, Riley. You guys have anything you want to say to the listeners before we leave? Everybody's quiet.
Yeah. Thank you for what you do. It's a lot of fun. Listening to podcasts, stuff you guys are producing is great. And honestly, I almost want to go run a nitro motor, but it just rains too much here to consider that. But other than that,
the Pacific Northwest has a great 8-scale community up there.
Yeah,
very good.
Yeah,
very good.
For the 6 weeks that they get to race,
they do a lot of indoor racing too. Really. Riley, are you there?
Yep.
What's your plans?
Yeah.
It's Hobbyplex this weekend, I think.
So right now the INS layout's getting put in for Hobbyplex. The
audio sounds
original
horrible.
Hobbyplex in Omaha, Nebraska. Don't worry if you missed out. You can't get in because the entry cap has been full for about a month and a half now. But that's going to be coming up in 2 weeks. This weekend is a club race on Friday to break the track in a little bit, and then there's like something going on at the track Saturday because it's the second, and they're not racing, but it's like just a fun day at the track. And then next weekend after that is INS, so I've been getting ready for that. Super excited. Yeah.
I see that you
Nice
sent
to
me a
meet you,
message that your phone is hot and is lagging, so that would explain your bad audio. We definitely have to get Riley up our laptop and get him set up. Riley, thank you for your time. Good luck. Good luck at Hobbyplex. Thank you guys for your time. You know what? That's it. Nitrous to glory. E-Buggy pays the bills. But 10 scale was paying the bills today. Thank you, Hefty. Thank you, Riley. We guys are out.